Time to talk about some fill in the blanks. Let's get started. The guest you're most looking forward to having on set next week in Miami, Chris, is who?
Well, I mean, he wasn't on the graphic there, and I hope he hasn't canceled. But, of course, it's Kirk Cousins. I mean, I want Kirk Cousins to be there. That's going to be amazing. You're a Vikings fan, and we've had some moments of razzing, and we've had some moments of you saying he's as good as Patrick Mahomes this year. There's so many good moments we could talk about with Kirk. I feel like he's part of the family. That's who I want to see more than anything.
Should I wear my Kirk Cousins jersey the day we have
I
Kirk
think
Cousins?
You need to bring it. Make sure you pack it away. You got to have it. But in all seriousness, other than him, I am excited to meet Tua. You know, just from like my scouting purposes, just to eye him up a little bit, get a feel for the guy that's going to be a franchise quarterback here. If it weren't for Kirk Cousins, I would go with Tua.
Yeah, I think Kirk is going to be an interesting time, and I think he gets it. I think he's got some self-awareness, and I think he recognizes it's an opportunity to have some fun. And I will remind him
you cracked
that
the egg on your head.
I got destroyed with like 18 eggs.
Yeah, that was
at
disgusting.
his behest.
Right.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Oh, it was extremely disgusting.
So you're going with Kirk Cousins there, though? Is that the one you're most?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Good.
But I'll tell you, it's a great list. And again, it keeps getting better and better all the time. Once more, notwithstanding our involvement in the program, so somebody's doing something right. Ezekiel Elliott said change can be hard, but also good for the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy becoming the head coach in Dallas is blank for Ezekiel Elliott.
Is a great thing for Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, I think it's the proper kick in the butt, I should say. I think he needs it. You know, you heard me complain about Ezekiel Elliott a lot this year. I don't think he was one of the 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 best running backs in the sport. There was a lot of yards there to be that were left on the field on a weekly basis. To me, he's got to get to me, the legs don't look the same. Like, he's got to get training and squatting and sprinting again and doing those things. And hopefully a guy like a new head coach and a new regime coming to town will light that fire underneath him, because what happens with a regime change that didn't draft you and isn't all in on, oh my gosh, Ezekiel Elliott's our top 5 pick and he's the greatest thing we have because he's our guy and we love him and all that. You got a new head coach coming in. It's going to be a clean slate. Yeah, he's going to know how good you are, okay? But he's going to evaluate it from what you look like now to going into the future. And if things are kind of like the way they looked last year, Mike McCarthy, then that's how those conversations start up. You know, Zeke's not as explosive as I thought he was. And, you know, Zeke missed a lot of big holes in this game and whatever. And that starts the decline of you being a part of that franchise. So I hope Zeke takes this the right way. I think it'll be a great thing for him.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued by it because one of the criticisms of Mike McCarthy when he was with the Packers is he didn't run the ball enough. But did he ever have a running back that he could run the ball with? I mean, at times he did. Eddie Lacy, the offensive rookie of the year in 2013, had 1,178 yards. He had 1,100 yards the next year, and then he fell off. And I don't think he fell off because McCarthy decided to quit running the ball. He fell off because he fell off.
He ate himself out of the league.
Now McCarthy has a guy.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Mike McCarthy has a guy in Ezekiel Elliott who may be the best running back and probably is the best running back McCarthy's ever had on his roster. So now we see what he can do and how extensively he will use him. So I think it's interesting. I'm not ready to say it's great for Elliott because we have to see that McCarthy is truly willing to commit to the run game with Zeke. And last year, what did we see with the offense? We saw a shift away from it. And Kellen Moore's still there. And Kellen Moore's calling the plays. So maybe we're going to see more of what we saw in 2019 with Ezekiel Elliott being used less and the passing game where Dak Prescott nearly had 5,000 yards being used more. All right, on Wednesday, the Raiders officially became the Las Vegas Raiders.
Wow.
When you hear that name, blank is the first thing you think of.
I think of John Gruden in like a white leather jumpsuit like Al Davis with like diamond encrusted like Raiders emblem and like some Al Davis glasses and like a gold chain and him like just walking around with like the zip up a little farther down, right? Just to show a little chest right there, a little few hairs of Johnny Gruden. That's what I picture. I picture John Gruden living the Las Vegas lifestyle. Why I think that, I don't know. But when I hear Las Vegas Raiders, that's what I think of. I am intrigued by the whole thing. I think it's going to be really cool. We're going to have a team there. The stadium looks amazing. But you want to know what the first thing I think of is I think of John Gruden in Las Vegas attire. That's what I think of.
I think you painted the picture of Elliott Gould in Ocean's 11.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I mean. Or Al Davis.
Yeah.
Like, just take Al Davis's clothes he wore the last 10 years he was alive and put them on John Gruden.
You know what I first think of? I first think of Tony Romo, because it was just a few years ago that Tony Romo was going to host a fantasy football convention in Las Vegas, not at a casino, but at a hotel, at a convention center that happened to be owned by a casino, and the NFL shut that bleep down in a heartbeat, leaning on players, leaning on NFL media employees who had signed contracts to go appear at this thing. These were all allegations from the litigation that happened, but the NFL wanted nothing to do with Las Vegas. In 2013, there was talk of preseason games or a Pro Bowl in Las Vegas, and the league's position was we're not going to do anything with Las Vegas because of legalized gambling. Now here we are. There's a team in Las Vegas. They're having the draft in Las Vegas in the fountains at the Bellagio. That's where the red carpet's going to be. They got to take them out there by boat, right? There's going to be Super Bowls in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Not one. It's going to be part of the rotation.
Right.
It's amazing to me, in the grand scheme of things, in the blink of an eye, the NFL has gone from shunning Las Vegas to embracing it with open arms, and also with the open wallets of everyone who will be there for every Raiders game, every Super Bowl, every draft, everything they can do to milk as much cash as possible out of this Las Vegas connection. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just stunning to see how quickly it changed.
Do you think, and I never really thought of this, do you think the NFL thought about the fact that gambling is going to become legalized, and then that opened the owner's eyes to moving a team there more? Do you think that helped help them vote to say yes to Vegas? Do you think that was a factor, or is just pure money and that's all there is to it?
I think the NFL was confident that one way or the other, states were going to be authorized to adopt legalized wagering on sports one by one, and we're seeing it proliferate now. And if it hadn't worked through litigation in the Supreme Court, where the NFL actually opposed the effort to expand legalized gambling, they were against it. I'd never seen anyone win so much by losing in the Supreme Court in my lifetime. They fought and scratched and clawed against any state legalizing sports betting. And now that the cat's out of the bag, hey, we may as well embrace it.
Yeah, right.
And I think if it didn't happen through the courts, it was going to happen through Congress, where they were going to change the law that prevented the states from adopting legalized sports betting. But I think they knew, look, times had changed. The world had changed. And there weren't a whole lot of viable places for the Raiders to go. They weren't going to wedge them in San Antonio between the Cowboys and the Texans. Once Los Angeles filled up with the Rams and the Chargers, they had to find someplace else for the Raiders, and Las Vegas just kind of became it, because that all happened before the law change that has allowed sports betting to become really something that's part of the fabric now of daily life for a lot of people. The stigma is gone, and the Las Vegas stigma is definitely gone for the NFL. All right, Robert Kraft told TMZ this week that the Patriots plan to bring back Tom Brady. When Bill Belichick hears about that, he will be blank.
Expecting that. I mean, first off, Tom Brady's been telling us he's going to play till he's 45. So Belichick's probably prepared that he's going to play. And also, hey, the New England Patriots are the New England Patriots because of the connection within that organization. The front office being on the same page as the head coach and the coaching staff. Well, one is because the front office is the head coach, so that helps. But Mr. Kraft and Bill Belichick, yeah, I'm sure they've butted heads before here and there. But for the whole, they know how to communicate, and they're on the same page about everything. And I'm sure this has been well thought out, talked about. Bill Belichick, I'm sure, knows where Robert Kraft wants to go with this whole situation, and vice versa. And added to the fact, with Josh McDaniels not getting one of the 5 vacancies open for head coaching job, as soon as he stayed in New England, I thought that really increased the chances of Brady staying there. So it is a tough one, too, because with Brady's comments last week, and he does sound like he's willing to go somewhere else if he has to. I really thought that, when all said and done, he would kind of buckle and kind of go, I don't want to play anywhere but New England. But, from the things he's been saying, he seems like, if he's got to leave town, he's willing to do it.
Yeah, and just to answer the question, my position is Bill Belichick will be completely unaffected by anything that is said by anyone about Tom Brady. And here's my prediction as to how this is going to happen if Tom Brady does leave. I was talking about this last hour, and I think it may have come up yesterday as well. I think what we will see is a joint statement from Brady and the Patriots where both sides fall all over each other to praise and to not be perceived as the villain. They want to be sure that everyone takes the high road. They don't want the fans to pick sides. I think that that's the right way to disengage. And I think that's the first domino in what will be a crazy offseason of potential quarterback moves if and when Brady's out. It'll be a joint press release that comes up out of the blue where Tom Brady and New England Patriots express their undying and permanent love for each other, but the time has come for both sides to move in a different direction. Doesn't that make sense? Because they can't afford to have this political jockeying for the hearts and minds of Patriots fans.
No. I mean, it does make sense if they do figure that they're going to part ways. I guess the thing I'm interested in is, and just, knowing New England and how they operate, what kind of money would they offer Brady if he does come back? What kind of money is Brady willing to, take at this point of his career? Those are all things that I think are really interesting about this situation. But yes, I think if they decide to part ways, you're right. That's kind of the way it'll go down.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.